Alex, I would like to announce pretty quickly in short order here that I will be retiring from sports betting because I went 0-7 last week. As bad a week, it is the worst week I've had. That's probably bar none the entire season.
Yep. That's tough. I have not had an O for this year, but I did have in college football like a 1-8-1 type week. It happens to the best of us, and also to you and me. So there's nothing that you can do other than take your lumps and try to regress to the mean. I think if you had an 0-7 last week, that scientifically, mathematically means you're due for a 7-0 this week. I think that's what
absolutely.
Eighth grade math teacher taught me. Yeah, I was 2-3 last week, which I guess is comparatively great, but still not great. 48, 55-3 on the year. That's just a hair under 47%, meaning that we got to make a lot of money back in championship weekend and the Super Bowl. And hey, like we've said, regression to the mean. If we're below the mean, that means we've got some room to grow. So I think we can do it together.
Absolutely. 59, 69, and 4, 46% again. 0-7 last week. It's tough sledding, but we're getting back on the horse here. NFC Championship game. Packers -3 point favorite over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both of us are simpatico on this pick here.
We are. I'm taking the Packers -3. Had to eat some bad juice, as you did as well, at -123 to make that bet. But I just thought about this a lot, and I think that I would take the Packers by 3, even on a neutral field here, even if this game were not Lambeau in late January, which it is. I think at least that if I were setting the spread at this game, given where we are and where it's being played, I think it should be around 1.5 or 2. I think that it should be around 1.5 or 2 points more than it is than the Packers at -3. So to me, I just think that the home field is probably worth more here than it is in a typical NFL COVID game. I mean, the Packers had a few fans in the stands last week. I think they're going to do that again this week. My understanding is that from the science of it, 6,000 or 7,000 fans doesn't necessarily sound a lot quieter than like many times more fans do, though I've never been an NFL player on a game in an NFL field. So I don't really know that, but it just feels like, given the weather situation, given that there will be fans in the stands, the home field probably boosts Green Bay a bit. And I feel good about it, even though it's all guesswork.
Yeah. I trust Tom Brady to play in the snow. I'm not sure I trust the rest of the Buccaneers to play in the snow. That's the problem. The coldest they get, in a normal year is, a December game in Carolina for the most part on a regular basis. We all know the warts of the old school Bucs back when we were a kid. Couldn't win when the temperature was under like 40 degrees or whatever. Obviously, it's a new era, and you don't really believe that because they're.
But the weather doesn't change.
But the weather doesn't change. You're right. I'm taking the Packers. Packers firing on all cylinders right now. Didn't miss a beat last week. Really didn't look like they missed a beat. Had debuted a punishing running game last week, and because of that, I'm taking the Packers because it's sort of that more than one way to win type thing. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't necessarily have to supernova for them to win this game. But I am also taking the over in this game. I really like the over. I do think both of these teams are going to score. Basically, both of these teams have hovered around 50 total points in their last few games, respectively. Obviously, the Bucs just hit 50 last week against the Saints. We're a missed extra point away from hitting this mythical total that they're up against this week. So I like both of these teams to get me over 51 points.
I respect it, even though in the weather, obviously, that tends to say fewer points if you're going to be very cold and potentially snowy. But I think with these two quarterbacks, I agree with you. And I particularly think that as good as this Bucs defense is, and it's very, very good, I just don't think you can stop both that Green Bay running game that you just mentioned and Aaron Rodgers at the same time. Nobody's really done it all year. It doesn't feel likely to me that the Bucs are going to be the first team to do it, even though they're really, really good and have played incredibly stout defense all year, even though they embarrassed, Devin White especially, just embarrassed New Orleans last week. I think Aaron Rodgers in particular moves the ball in this game. And if he doesn't, Aaron Jones does. I just think Green Bay's offense is, not necessarily a perfect offense. I'm not sure if that exists outside of Alabama, but it's the closest thing the NFL has and I do expect them to score a lot of points. In the AFC,
Speaking of perfect offenses.
Speaking of perfect offenses, the nightcap, this is the later game, is in Kansas City. You and I are simpatico on at least the spread in this game as well. Chiefs -3 at -105 for me. I think you had them at -110, but at any rate, we're feeling pretty good about Kansas City at home.
Yes, we are. Provided Patrick Mahomes and company play, which it seems like they are. Their practice today, Thursday, obviously, is the big day for those guys to have participation and be ready to rock for Sunday. I expect them to do so. Expect them to win this game. Will say, though, I am taking this game under. I've been very impressed by the Bills' defense the last few weeks. And because of that, and because I was unimpressed last week by the Chiefs' offense in the red zone, turned a lot of 7s into 3s last week. I think this game can stay under 54. But I do think the Chiefs are going to win. And here's one for you on sort of the proppy side of things. I also have the Chiefs to win by up 1 to 13 points at +150. So Chiefs to win within a reasonable margin here.
That feels like really good value, particularly given Mahomes' medical situation. Everything you say is right. To me, the thing for me that gave me some comfort with this pick, it's two-pronged, really. Let's say that Patrick Mahomes, it becomes apparent that he is going to play, whether that is just announced on Sunday or if it becomes pretty clear after Thursday. Not sure when during the week you're watching this video, though we hope you just watch it every day, of course. Let's say that it becomes clear Patrick Mahomes is going to play. I think this number is going to get bigger. It's not going to be -3 anymore. It's suddenly going to be Chiefs -4.5, -5. That creates a middling opportunity if you are the kind of person who likes to do those things, or it just creates good closing line value for you if you take the Chiefs early at -3. On the other hand, and this gives me some comfort as well, I think that there was a discussion around Chad Henne that was going on, particularly on the internet while he was in the game last week, that it was like, who is this guy? How is he in the game? He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not 12 Chad Hennes are not one Patrick Mahomes, but he's a professional quarterback. There are far worse backups in the NFL. He has been a starter in the NFL in the not overly distant past. And last week, his expected points added total for the game was 0.0, meaning, to be clear, to make sure you have the context of that stat, he didn't hurt him at all. The offense did what they're supposed to do. You're expected to net neutral. Exactly. He was a net neutral. He didn't hurt him. He let his running backs get a little bit of yardage for him on the ground. He got, in a pretty tough, gutsy way, got some yards himself on the ground at the end of that game and took some tough hits to do it, and made a key throw, obviously, in crunch time to Tyreek Hill on 4th down and like a couple inches. So I'm not a anything is possible guy, but for the sake of this bet, I'm a anything could happen, and if he has to play, it might not be that bad guy. I'm also with you on the under because while, like we were talking about, Henny Hive, I don't think that, whether it's a slightly reduced Patrick Mahomes who's coming off an injury or whether it is Chad Henne, I think either of those things points to fewer points than normal. And the 50s are a high place for this total to be, given, like you said, how good Buffalo's defense has been.
Absolutely. I don't know if anything is possible, but I do think it's possible for me to go 5-0 this week and erase what happened last week. I am hopeful, Alex. Let's get this bread, big guy.
Let's do it.